Everything I do, I already did. Everything I say, I already said. And everywhere I go, I already been. I just came back here to remember. And I had to remember that I did it, I said it, and I've been there before. And I share that because this path that I walk ain't always easy, but it's real. Not because I always comprehend it, not because I know everything, because I don't, but because it resonates with who I am to myself, regardless of anything or anybody else. And I share that because I'm not chasing light, but I'm also not running from the dark. And I share that because I don't share messages to offer us comfort. I don't share messages to make us comfortable. I don't share messages to be accepted. I don't share messages to be validated. You know, I share messages to offer us a mirror, because comfort and being used to what we've been used to, because we're used to it, ain't brought us no comfort at all. Matter of fact, it ain't brought a lot of us comfort in a long time, if we be brutally honest with ourselves. And I share that because I don't know who need to hear it, but just like some of you, depending on if you're on a personal development journey, if you're doing shadow work, I've been building this fire for a long time. So long I'm not willing to let it die to make no one feel comfortable. So I don't move the way I do to become someone. I move the way I do because I'm someone right now. And so are you. Somebody need to hear that. You know, somebody need to hear that. If I was led to share it, somebody need to hear it. I know it's been a minute since y'all seen me, you know, about a week or so, and I need it every day because on my journey and where I'm at in it, you know, I've been going through some things, even though personally I've been okay, but energetically and vibrationally, you know, I've been going through some things, you know, and I wasn't sure why. You know, a lot of the things that I was feeling, and I'm feeling a whole bunch of things right now. You hear me? I'm feeling a whole lot of things at the same time. You know, I don't know how we able to feel happy and anger at the same time. You know, but along with all the other feelings that we can come up with, but I'm feeling all that shit at the same time because there's been a lot going on. And you know, I was wondering why I was feeling some things that I was feeling, and didn't know why I was feeling it until I got certain information in reference to my grandmother transitioning, and then it all made sense. But in the process of it all making sense, that just took me into a whole nother dark journey of the soul and amplified those feelings. And we all don't heard the term that in the center of the tornado is a calm, you know. So in order to stay centered in myself, I had to sit still in the center of the tornado regarding the emotions that I was feeling, and face what I was feeling, to be able to process it and come out clear and come out unscathed, you know. And it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week, and a lot of things that I had to, you know, sit with myself and face, because my relationship wasn't always the best, or wasn't the best, you know, when it comes to, you know, what I just shared with y'all in reference to, you know, my grandmother. But it has a lot to do with who I am today. It has a lot to do with how I am today, you know, and it has a lot to do with how I move in reference to people. Um, so I honor, I express honor for that, you know, and all the dishonoring that may have occurred. I express honor for that. Um, hmm. And I share that because when your soul start to remember why it came here, you don't need approval to know that you're on the right path, regardless of your path. You know, regardless of what you believe in. You don't need approval to know that you're on the right path. And I say that because we're not here by coincidence. And we're not who we are by accident. You know. And everybody that we came through, everybody that we come from, everybody that we find ourselves around right now, regardless of who we came through or who we came from, play a part to that, you know, play a part in that, you know, but we're not here by coincidence and we're not who we are by accident. But what does that say about you? You know, what does that say for you? You know, and most of all, what does that say to you? You know, who are you in all I just said? You know, these are things that I had to sit with in reference to, you know, the things that's going on in my personal life. You know, not necessarily with me personally, but in my personal life. You know, the extensions that represent the extensions that I come from. You know, who are you? And all I just said, not to me, not to nobody else, but to yourself. You know, and not in reason, not in logic, not in personality, but in resonance. Who are you to yourself? You know, when you speak, do you speak as someone who knows or someone that remembers? Because if you remember, I just said earlier, when your soul starts to remember why it came here, you don't need approval to know that you're on the right path. So you're going to need to know, who are you to you? You know, without the mask, without the fragments, without all the decorations, you know, that we put on, you know, who are you? And to know that it take work to get clear. It's gonna take work, and it take work to get clear. And I share that because the highest role isn't always the most visible, and not everyone can hold what you feel. You know, not everyone can hold what I feel. You know, and if you could hold what others not ready to face, then you're not here to become someone. You're not here to be someone. You're someone right now. You see? Because not everyone can hold what I feel, but I can hold what others not ready to face. And that's why I present the things that I do, as I said earlier, with no guilt, no justification, you know, and without explanation. But I can when needed, you know, and I will when necessary, you know, because feeling is my language. And I use words, but I don't use words to teach. I teach through how I am and through who I am, by example, because words don't teach. Words don't teach, you know, and that's why energetic awareness is important, because it's all about resonance, you know, resonation and resonance, frequency, so forth and so on. You know, all those things that we hear about. And that we may know about, yet we are, you know, frequency, resonance, vibration, energy, you know, emotion. That's why we're emotional, emotional critters, emotional beings, you know, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to know ourselves as such. That's a good thing to build upon ourselves as such, you know, and be aware of ourselves as such, along with everything else, you know, that's beneficial for us to know. And I share that because it will appear to others that for those of us who are on a journey of transformation through transmutation, you know, it will appear to others that this transformation came out of nowhere, you know. But on the contrary, or contrary to probable belief to those who are not on a personal or in a journey, you know, it's been happening quietly, behind the scenes, very privately, very personally, you know, and it happens. You know, this process happens quietly, behind the scenes, very privately, unless you share your journey with somebody else, and very personally, unless you share your journey with someone else. But for years, for some, for decades for others, and truthfully, lifetimes for many, you know. So, salute to the living enigmas. Salute to the living enigmas, you know. Not because we better than nobody else, you know. Not because we mysterious. Not because we're puzzling, you know. Or not because we're difficult to understand. But because we are the ones that's meant to be the catalyst for those that don't. We are the ones that understand through our own journey of soul ascension, through our own journey of shadow work, through our own journey of self-development, through our own journey of dealing with the bullshit, you know, personal development, that it had to be done the way that we do it, you know. It had to be done this way, speaking for myself. How I do what I do, it had to be done this way, the way that I do it, you know. And sometimes you got to be hitting in plain sight, you know. Sometimes you have to be hitting in plain sight from those who think they know you, that don't even know they self. The enigmas are those of us who been here, been doing the work, been touching lives and causing awakenings and activations, you know, by being an inspiration through example to those around us we come into contact with, no matter how brief or no matter how long, through the contact made, you know. We the walking anomalies in this construct or this matrix upon earth. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey, you know, coming from what I call the ancient past of myself and integrating it into the presently future of myself, you know. But I'm here to change destiny and restore the balance in my bloodline through this work that I do on myself. Cause it ain't all been bad, but it damn sure ain't all been good. You hear me? So wherever you find yourself at on your journey, continue in strength, continue in courage. You know, if you don't have structure, get some. You know, if you don't have a guideline, make your own. You know, if you don't have discipline, get some. You know, and if you don't have confidence, build it. You hear me? Build it, because you gotta have a map to find your purpose. You know, you gotta have a map to find your purpose. You know, and you gotta have passion to fulfill it. And I share that because you cannot change what you cannot see. So it's important to recognize the patterns. It's important to recognize the traits. It's important to recognize the characteristics. It's important to recognize the cycles. It's important to recognize anything that we wish to change in order to become the best version of ourselves that we know we can be. Not that we want to be, that we know we can be. You know, because in this time, this a time where many people, you know, waking up and realizing, regardless of when you woke up, it's that time where a lot of people waking up and realizing that the things that once gave them identity, you know, they no longer identify with themselves through those things, through those people, through those places, you know, and that's a sign for change, you know. A lot of us realizing that we're no longer in a place, or have stopped putting ourselves in a place to be so caring about being acceptable to everyone, you know, in order to get along with everyone in the places that we have tried to do that, you know. And that take being honest with yourself. That take finding your own identification, you know, through the things that, through the people that, through the places that we once thought gave us identification. And I share that to close with this. Whatever type of liberation meaning freedom, whatever type of freedom that you're seeking, you have it within you to get at it. You have it within you to get to it and experience it, you know. And when I share that, I think about the temple of Delphi with the words, "To thyself be true." And knowing thyself is more than just a cool phrase, you know. The ability to know thyself is more than just a cool phrase, you know. It's a doorway, it's a portal, you know. And when it comes to change, when it comes to healing, when it comes to shadow work, when it comes to personal development, whatever you want to call it, it ain't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were before the world taught you who you were supposed to be. I don't know who need to hear that, but I share that because those that raised us imprinted us with their stuff, you know, good, bad, and indifferent. So in that, it gave us all some work to do. And we got work to do. You hear me? Because when you're used to what you used to, it'll have you on autopilot, you know. And you don't want to be on autopilot, especially when it ain't good for you, especially when it ain't good to you, because you used to what you used to, you know. So I just needed to share that for whatever reason I was led to share that, you know. and hopefully somebody got something from it. Osio to my Indians, salam, shalom, hotep, namaste, aloha, bonjour, and all that other good stuff, you hear me? Hope everybody, when you find this message, find yourself feeling good for no reason at all. You hear me? The light could not exist without the dark. And sometimes you gotta sit in it and face whatever come up. And with that, stillness, abundance, love, light, health, and wholeness, you hear me? Until we do it again, I'm known as Sawu. Be you how you be you. You hear me? Peace.